So something I get asked a lot on my journey is, why did I start a GLP-1? Hi bestie, welcome. This was me 66 pounds ago at my starting weight of 330 pounds. I'm 35 years old currently, and I have never known a day, an hour, a minute of my life that I wasn't fat. I have always been a bigger girl. Even when I was a child, I was always bigger than everybody else. I was always the fat friend. I was always, the one that was just bigger in all forms. I developed faster than all of my friends. I had bigger breasts than everybody. I was taller than everybody, and I always had more curves than everybody, and I was always fatter than everybody. Both of my parents were overweight my entire life. So that was kind of something that I thought was normal, but also not normal. I do remember when I was a kid, there was a lot of body shaming in my household. Okay, it was the 90s. Things were definitely a different world than we're living in 2026. I remember that I really liked sweets. I loved sweets when I was a kid. I loved snacks, all that kind of stuff. But anything sweet and fruity, I was obsessed with. When I was a kid, I literally would get in trouble because I would hide food under my bed. I remember my mom pulling up my bed skirt and being like, what the fuck is all this shit? And there would be like wrappers and stuff like that. And I would hide food under my bed so I could snack on it without feeling the guilt and shame of, don't eat that, it'll make you fat. Oh, you're such a fat pig. All you do is eat, eat, eat. That has been constant my entire life since I was a child. My mom used to tell me how fat I was all the time. The 90s, we were obsessed with this living the life of perfection and looking perfection and being skinny. Even though my mom was obese, she was wearing like a size 20, 22 pant when I was a child. I was always ridiculed and told that I was fat and that I ate too much and that I was just going to be disgusting and lazy my entire life. I remember being like 17 and I weighed 166 pounds. And if you would have asked me, I thought I weighed 400 pounds. I was still not as skinny as all my friends. I wore like a size 14 pants, and I mean, that was plus size. That was, ew. Even though I was, probably 5'8" at the time. I mean, 5'9" probably already. And I was wearing a size 14, maybe size 16, but I was still always the fat person. So a thing about me that I didn't know back then, but obviously now I know with age and a little more modern medicine, is that I suffered from PCOS from a very young age. From the time I started getting my period and hit puberty, I never had anything regular. It would not come every month. Sometimes it would be long, sometimes it would be short, sometimes it would be 6 months to a year in between periods. And just with being naive and being young, I just didn't really care. I kind of thought it was cool. Hey, I don't have a period all the time. That's fun. I don't have to deal with it. But obviously, as I got into my 20s and I started going and seeing a gynecologist and all that, I realized that it was a problem. Somewhere around the age of probably 22, 23, I started to rapidly gain weight. I remember I got my first apartment with my boyfriend at the time, and we were eating a lot of cheap garbage, right? It would be a lot of macaroni and cheese, a lot of chicken nuggets, frozen pizza, all that stuff, because we were young, dumb, and didn't have a lot of money, but we were trying to make living on our own work. And I just remember I gained so much weight. I definitely gained like 50 pounds in a year. and I really wasn't thinking a whole lot about it. And the next thing I know, it just was a vicious cycle that didn't end. I went from being about 198 to being like 260 something, which for the record is where I'm at right now. But I remember being like, I don't even know how I got here. I didn't understand how I got here, and I didn't know how to fix it. Like I said, when I was growing up, I was always the fat friend. I was always everyone else around me was always skinny, and they were always looked at, and they always had boys that were interested in them because they were pretty and they were thin. And I was not. I wouldn't say I was ugly, but I definitely hadn't figured out how to put myself together, right? And I was plus size, so it was even harder. Boys did not pay attention to me. Eventually they did, but it took me a lot longer than everybody else I know to get the attention of the male. So I would kind of be stuck with whatever I got, right? Because I wasn't desirable, because I wasn't the thin girl, I wasn't the pretty girl, I wasn't the popular girl. So I kind of got stuck with whatever came my way. And that's how I felt most of my life, especially when it came to the male sex, is that if you gave me attention, I was gonna be like, oh, okay, I'll date you. I'll be with you. Cool. You like the fat girl? Great. I've got one. About 8 years ago now, I guess it is, I really kind of stayed the same weight. I was consistently somewhere around 260 to 270, wearing like a size 2X, wearing like a size 22, 24 pant. And, there would be times where I would lose weight, and it would usually be in times of great stress, because I am a stress not eater. I am a stress upsets my stomach. If I was going through something really emotional, I didn't turn to food, I turned away from it, and it would tear my stomach up. So I would be going through phases of losing weight because I was just so emotionally distraught and had so much anxiety and depression that I wouldn't eat. In 2019, I met my current partner, and we started dating, and we would go out to eat all the time. So guess what happened? I gained more weight. COVID came. We were kind of trapped more in. You ate a lot more to-go food, and you just I did turn to food in that time, and I went from 260 something, and I gradually kept going up and up and up. And I went through another phase where I rapidly gained weight, ultimately hitting me at over 330 pounds. I don't know exactly where I was at my highest, but I was definitely a little over 330 pounds. This photo is from the fall of 2023, just before I started taking a GLP-1. And when I took this photo, it was at my then best friend's wedding, where I was the maid of honor. And I hated everything I saw. When I looked at myself in these photos, I was absolutely appalled and disgusted. I hated every angle at which these photos were taken. And for a while, I sat there and I blamed the photographer. Oh my God, why would the photographer take a photo that's slightly down, so you can get all 3 of my chins in a photo? What kind of professional photographer does that? What kind of professional photographer has somebody that's that large stand it aside so you can see their big old flabby arm? And I hated everything I saw there. And sometimes it still makes me a little teary just to think about how I even felt. This is a size 28 dress. Right before I took these photos and before I had this wedding, I met with my doctor to discuss what can be done. Like I couldn't be this person anymore. I couldn't look at myself. I was finding it hard to find clothes that fit me and that I felt good. I couldn't walk up a flight of stairs at work. I would have to be constantly breathing hard. I didn't want to get up off the chair. I didn't want to do anything. Walking felt like too much work because it was hurting my joints. It was hurting my body, and it was making me just plain exhausted. My doctor at that time had suggested a GLP-1, and I was kind of, I didn't like the idea of poking myself with a needle. So instead, what we did was decided to start with metformin. It felt like before, metformin was always the thing. Oh, you need to lose weight? Oh, you have PCOS? Let's put you on metformin. That'll fix everything. Metformin is awful. First of all, I'm terrible at taking medication every day. I can't even take my vitamins every day. Like, it's ridiculous. I knew metformin wasn't going to work well because likely is I would take it for a few weeks and then forget, and then just the vicious cycle of not taking my medication. But I gave it about 6 months try, and I did lose probably about 7 to 8 pounds. But then finally in May of 2024, I was like, okay, no, can't do this anymore. I'm desperate. I'm ready. I'm going to have to get over the fear of being pricked with a needle and give me the GLP-1. And then, of course, I found out the lovely information that my insurance wouldn't cover anything. So I found out that I was going to have to pay out of pocket. Ozempic out of pocket was $800 a month, and that was the cheapest I could find it. I looked at Wegovy, I looked at Mounjaro, I looked at Zepbound, I looked at it all, and Ozempic was my cheapest option, so that's what I got my doctor to prescribe to me. This photo is from May of 2024. This is actually just a couple of days before I started my GLP-1. Right here, my weight is 330 pounds documented. This was actually my first ever flight that I went on, and I went to Los Angeles, California, and I was in Newport Beach, California as well. And that was hard for me. I had to wear a seatbelt extender, and I couldn't sit in the exit row because I was wearing a seatbelt extender. That flight was traumatizing for me because I'd never flown ever before. So I was very nervous, and I felt so uncomfortable. I felt like I could barely fit in the seat. I felt like I was just holding myself in so that I could fit even with the extender on. You could see the inflammation in my face is crazy. As soon as I got back, the very next day after my flight home was when I took my very first dose of Ozempic. Now, fast forward 20 months, and here I am. I'm currently down 66 pounds from my start of GLP-1. And not only the pounds that I'm down, but I am down so many inches. I went from a size 28 to I'm currently getting into a size 22 pant. Now, 66 pounds may not sound like a lot, but for somebody that's struggled to ever lose weight, I have tried it all. I've tried dieting. I have tried exercise. There's just something about it that I couldn't quite stick with. Going to the gym felt like fucking punishment. Like, it felt like fat tax. Like, here I have to go into the gym and I have to be uncomfortable and I can barely move my body as it is. It hurts. And I got to go in here and do all this shit. Like, that made me so unmotivated. And being on a really strict diet just felt like miserable. I definitely did look into gastric bypass and sleeve, but ultimately, I decided against doing it, which I'm still glad that I didn't, because I just felt like my quality of life wouldn't have been the same. I am a foodie at heart. I told you guys that I love sweets, I love food, and so I wanted to still be able to enjoy. I wish that I'd known about GLP-1 a little bit sooner, because I definitely would have started this sooner if I could have. If I would have known the results I would get from it and how it would completely alter my life, not only physically, but mentally and emotionally as well, nothing would have stopped me from starting this. I remember the friend that I was in her wedding, and we used to go stuff all the time. We were best friends for 13 years. And I remember going to a bridal store to look at bridesmaids dresses with her. And I was sitting right next to her, and the consultant comes up to her and is just like, "Oh my God, you must be the bride. Da, 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 da. Oh my God, you're so pretty. You're so beautiful. Your hair is so nice. I love your outfit. Oh my God." Just, complimenting her out the ass. And I remember her saying all this stuff and just, praising her. And she looks to me. I'm standing to the left of her. She looks over to her right and sees me. And she looks me up and down. She goes, "You're pretty too." I know there's probably so many people out here right now that can relate to that statement. Oh, you're pretty too. The words that every fat girl with a pretty thin friend dreads to hear. You're pretty too. No, I'm pretty. I'm not pretty also. I'm not in addition to this other person that looks like a model. I am pretty in my own way. But that's how society sees you. So that's how I see myself. Not pretty, not worthy, disgusting. All I ever wanted to be my entire life is thin and skinny and pretty. That's what I wanted when I started a GLP-1. I just wanted to lose a ton of weight and be able to go into a store and just buy whatever clothes and know that I was going to fit and know that they were going to look good on me. That's probably what a lot of people think when they go to start a GLP-1 is, I just have to lose weight. I just need this to lose weight. I just need this medication so I stop eating. So I just the pounds just fall off of me and I don't have to do any work. Obviously, that's so not the case. And I've learned that in my time on a GLP-1, that's why I say it has changed me mentally, physically, and emotionally. Yes, did it start with suppressing my appetite so that I wouldn't eat as much and changing my cravings so that I don't think about eating those kinds of food? Absolutely it did. And that for me is when it started to become more about my health than it did the number on the scale. That's why I'm totally okay with saying that I'm down 66 pounds. Do I wish it was more? Of course I do. Will it be more? Absolutely it will. Everybody is different, so I'm going at my pace. All I know is that I'm not just also pretty. I know that I'm pretty. I know that I'm valuable. I know that I'm strong. I know that I'm smart, and I know I can do this. I am doing things now that I didn't think I would do, like enjoying the gym. If you would have told me any point in time in my life that I would actually enjoy going to the gym and want to go to the gym and think about the gym and enjoy lifting weights and doing all that stuff, I would have said, "You're batshit crazy. That's not me. I'm never going to be a gym girl. That's gross." Well, I guess I'm gross now because I absolutely love it. That's part of the mental too, is I found a way to make this shit enjoyable. Before, when I go to the gym, you go on the treadmill, you go on the bike, maybe you do a little bit of weightlifting, but you don't want to bulk up. You don't want to be muscular, right? As a woman, I remember my friend that I would go with, said skinny bitch. She would always be like, "I don't want to do too much weight because I don't want to have muscles." Okay, but you do. You do want to have muscles. You do want to be able to pick things up. You do want to be able to move around. You do want to have range of motion. You do want to have flexibility for your entire life. And building strength and muscle actually helps you burn that fat a little faster. And that's what I have experienced. While the number on the scale has been very, very slow and has been really beefing with me for a while, what I'm seeing in the mirror has not been. It has been moving. I have been slimming down. My body comp is crazy. Compared to this photo with this photo, my body comp is completely different. And that is probably my favorite part of being on a GLP-1 journey. And I didn't think I would see more of a figure than before I gained this weight. When I was this weight before, my body didn't look like this. GLP-1 has changed my life. It's saved my life. I was headed down a road of probably continuing to gain weight and maybe having another rapid weight gain in the future, and just being to the point where I wouldn't even want to get out of bed in the morning. Now, do I really want to get out of bed in the morning? No, I really don't. I'm not a morning person, but I actually have energy. I'm actually motivated, and I actually enjoy a lot of things in my life now. It's cleared my mental. I'm not nearly as depressed. I don't have as much anxiety about certain things. It has just really, it's just altered my whole body and mind and soul in ways that I can't even describe to you if you haven't experienced it. If you're thinking about starting a GLP-1 or you've just started a GLP-1, welcome to the rest of your life. Now, do you need to take a GLP-1 for your entire life? You might not. If you don't need it for obesity or anything like that, and you feel like you can use this medication to learn the tools that you need to create a healthy lifestyle for the rest of your life, great. That's the journey I'm on. I don't require the medicine to treat anything. I'm just using it as a tool so that I can change and alter my life. And that's what I've done so far. And my journey is far from over. And I couldn't be more excited. And I couldn't be more excited to share my journey so far and share my journey ahead with you guys here. Whenever somebody asks me if they should start a GLP-1, my answer is immediately just yes. Just yes. Of course, you got to preface that by, what are you wanting to take a GLP-1 for? Have you consulted with your doctor? All those important things. But if you're thinking about it, you're already halfway there. If you're thinking about it, just do it. Just do it. As long as it is a actual resource that you can use and that your doctor agrees upon, go for it, because it'll give you so much more than just losing weight. Okay, thanks for listening to me ramble and tell you about being a fat girl my whole life. I hope that you guys will like, comment, subscribe, and come back for more videos. You can also follow me on my other social medias, my Instagram and my TikTok. I also have a Discord community for people on a GLP-1 or people that are interested in a GLP-1 or people that just like my fucking content. If you're on a GLP-1 or thinking about starting one, drop a comment below. I would love to get to know you, and I would love to chat with you. And I want to know, if you are taking one, what are you taking? How far into your journey you are? If you've lost weight, if you haven't lost weight yet, if you have any struggles or anything, I'm here as a supportive bestie. I'm not here to give medical advice in any way, shape, or form, but I am here to share my story, share what's worked for me, and help guide people. I've gone through a lot of the side effects, and I have a lot of experience with things. And when I started my journey, I didn't have the resources that I have today. I didn't have the TikTok. I didn't have the YouTube. I didn't have the Instagram. I wasn't following people that were on a GLP-1. So I was kind of going at this blindly for quite a while. For almost 9 to 10 months, I didn't know this side of the internet existed. I don't know why I wasn't looking this stuff up, but I was just kind of stumbling along. When I found this community, that is when things really started to alter for me, and that's when I really started implementing more things into my life. And that is when I have definitely seen a big change in my lifestyle and my body. So that is what I'm here for. I'm here to provide guidance without medical advice and be able to be here and support you. So I hope that you enjoy my content and stick around for more. Bye, bestie!